So as moms, ladies and gents, this is Daniel Kennedy from Steadfast Construction and Design, and today we are at week 16, so hopefully only about 8 weeks left I'm pushing for. I say I push it for, I'm pushing the guys for, they're the ones doing all the work. They've really sort of brought it home this week. They've been focusing on the plastering. The whole team has been bordering, plastering, and it's been like an efficient machine, and we're looking to be finished the plastering really now at the end of next week, I'm being told, and as well as a few other bits and bobs. So we're going to take a look around the site, and it's basically going to be the same of me showing you walls being plastered and boarded, and then we'll talk about where we are with the project, what we're doing, what we're ordering, and how we're planning the materials and what we're doing differently from the last one now. So this will be a bit more of a higher thinking video as opposed to this is what we've done this week. So follow me around the site. Here we are on the ground floor. You can see that we have cemented the big hole that was here previously because there was no foundation under the Minton tiles. So we've cleared the whole entire ground floor, and this is going to be screeded tomorrow. So we've got one of the blokes coming in who's going to screed the whole floor. We've PVA'd it just so when that dries, we'll have a nice sort of seal that we can screed over, and then the whole floor will be level. And then I'm looking to get as close to possibly can to recreate Minton floor and make this really an outspoken Victorian property. And so like keep all the original features. I know we've had to butcher some of the corridors and some of the great views with the stairs because of fire regulations, but we're going to do our best to try and really shout this is a Victorian property, as I love the era, and we just don't build them like we used to anymore. We've got another little store of Carlite plaster, so now that we're planning ahead, we're just getting it all in advance. We're really sort of like over ordering so we never run out. This is an import from Ireland. I've got 2 pallets. If you're struggling to get multi-finish, I can highly recommend this. The finish is great, the guys love it. A little bit more expensive, but when you factor in the cost of the interest of me holding this property and it not being plastered, it's insignificant in the grand scheme of things. We did have a slight issue with the site being a bit messy, and it got mentioned and we took some remedial action, and the guys have been made a huge effort to keep the site clean. I'm really impressed with how it looks. This is how it should look all the time, and what we had to do as a compromise is Friday afternoons, as well as keeping on top of it during the week, we have a good 2-3 hours where no one works and we just constantly clean the site. So it's nice and ready. So Monday morning, they don't have any issues with finding their gear, they know where it is, and they're ready to conduct the week's work. So the boarding is all the way down to the bottom stairs now. So now we're fully boarded from here up, which is great. So they can really focus on the plastering. And then now we're going to talk about why having multi-trades is important. So this is actually quite hard to do, a wall like that, and to make it smooth. And that was our plumber. So he's decided to take on the plastering, add that to his trade, and then now we have a plumber plasterer, as well as a bricky plasterer and ground worker and a chippy plasterer. Plastering always takes the longest because there's so much of it to do. We always go back to brick and we overskim everything. Going through some of the corridors. Really impressed with the finish from the Carlite. That's where our tea station's going to be. Nice and big echoey rooms, high ceilings in the corridor, and then we lower the ceilings in the rooms to increase efficiency. Bit of an odd shape, this room, but still a very large room nonetheless. The kitchen's going to go along here. Swing it back round, and then that's where the bed is going to go. We're going to make a custom bed there. Right, let's go look on the top floor again. Hello team, so that is the end of week 16 here at Kennedy's Corner. This is 8 studios, 3 en-suites and 1 office. Just a bit about this property. It's over 300 square metres large. So it's a huge space that we're turning into. It's been cut up in a way that maximises the use of living space, of rentable space, because the communal kitchens aren't really rentable space. So we try and minimise them and get bigger rooms, because that's what gets you more rent. And in the long run, most people tend to stay in their rooms. I've found very often there's very little sort of communication with the old tenants, only after a couple of years or maybe a group moves in. So this is why we keep the rooms as big as we possibly can and the communal space as small as we possibly can, because we want everyone to have their own personal space, but then also a space for them to convene and entertain should they wish to. This property is actually over 300 square metres. For those of you who don't know, so it's a huge massive space, and we've only got 12 units in there. So on paper, really, it should be like 30 square metres a unit if we're doing, well, between 25 and 30. But in reality, we're getting between, because of the en-suites, we're getting about 15 plus. We have some units that are 24, some units that are 15 square metres. And then we have the smaller units, which are about 12, but none of them are under 10 square metres, and they all have their own bathrooms. Some have their own kitchens, some are sharing the kitchens. And I've only really been able to get to this process of knowing what works by having the years of experience behind me of what doesn't work, because I've squeezed en-suites into small rooms and now they struggle. People would much prefer to share a bathroom and have a bigger room. That's the general trend, rather than have a tiny room and then also a tiny bathroom. So that's something I won't do again. As well as the tea stations, we tested that out previously and it works, and they loved it. The rooms fly off the shelves, even in a market like this. And the communal space, I'm realising, no, like the first one I did, Jiggins Lane, the communal space is about 50 square metres. I don't know what I was thinking. It's there now, but it doesn't get used. People use the kitchen, people sometimes sit in the living room, but very rarely gets used. The rents are great because the rooms are also big, but way overspent when it didn't need to be. And that's why we don't do it anymore. What really is important is parking. All the tenants want parking. It's wherever I can, I get parking. I make as many spaces as I can, because that is what they demand. It's what they tell me. I took this room because I wanted parking. I wanted a big room. I wanted my own bathroom. I didn't take this room because there isn't any parking. I didn't take this room because the rooms are small. I didn't take this room because I don't want to be in a big, huge house and have so many people share one kitchen. It's the general enduring theme. It's what I've taken from the feedback from the tenants, because we often ask, like, what would you like to improve? And apart from the Buttercup and Nightmare, they all just bloody moan in there. That house is cursed. And that is it. So this is the end of week 16. We had a bit of a break, as you know, so we're back into full swing. Next week we'll have a full complement of the team, because we have somebody returning from an injury who's going to slowly get back into it. So you'll see even more progress, because they're going to be working outside on the car park. So stay tuned. Right, thank you. This is Daniel Kennedy from Steadfast Construction and Design. Enjoy your weekend.